if you've spent any time in the airsoft community, you've seen the buy, sell, and trade groups on Facebook, Discord, and other places. We're going to share our tips and tricks on how to get the best deals. Welcome back to the Port City Podcast. Today we're talking about expanding your airsoft collection. All right, so as you can tell by the intro, we're talking about expanding your airsoft collection. You like that?
I just noticed that.
Little button, dude. I've started doing that with my shirts at work. No button,
No
dude.
button on
You're
this shirt.
forced to be casual.
Wow.
That's crazy.
I don't like that. I don't like those choices being made for me.
Yeah, well, sometimes you just got to deal with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're talking about expanding your airsoft collection. As many of you know, things are getting more expensive. And the truth is, airsoft is part of that. Airsoft is getting more expensive. And everyone outgrows their starter kit at some point. So maybe that's you. Maybe you're at the point where you are having to look at the next step in your airsoft evolution. And or maybe you're a little bit more seasoned and you want more variety and you're just trying to expand your collection. But at the end of the day, the longer you play airsoft, the more expensive the gear gets, the nicer the blasters are, the more things you want to add on, and it can get pretty pricey. So
Yeah.
we're here to talk about how to overcome that.
So when you get to this point where you're ready to start investing in your kit and you're looking to upgrade, but do it on a budget, right? Where do you start, right? So the thing to do, I feel like, is to evaluate the things that you do and don't use, right? Because you're going to need to raise some money. In our experience, selling the stuff that we haven't used in a while to pay for the things that we want, that we're going to use, works pretty well. So, that old blaster that you haven't touched in, 6-8 months or whatever, that you don't really feel interested in, throw that in a pile to sell. Take some pictures of it. All the magazines that you have for that, if they're proprietary, take pictures of those. Any pieces of kit that you don't have or that you're not necessarily gelling with, those are good to throw in there. And just, generating the funds to purchase your thing. More important than that, I feel like, is having a goal. What is the thing that you're saving up for? What is the piece of kit that you want to buy with all of this stuff? It's what do you want to buy and what are you willing to sell? That's how you kind of figure this out. It's where you start. And yeah.
So I think with the exception of, right, if you have to hang on to some old stuff for friends, for maybe you're bringing people out to play, they don't have their own gear.
Yeah.
Right. Learning what you can sell is really important, as well as learning what you can buy. And a lot of people don't think in the mindset of spending money to make money when it comes to hobbies. Like, that's a common business idea, right? When you're running a business, sometimes you got to invest into stuff.
Got to spend money to make money, dude.
And I've taken that mindset, and it has, you've seen it. It has paid for most of the stuff that I have today in Airsoft. I am constantly looking for that deal. I'm looking, bless you.
Thank you.
I'm looking for that M4 that has a broken stock, or the blaster that won't switch to semi, or whatever it is. I'm looking for these special deals where it's like, hey, this is valued at a really high price, but they're selling it really low because there's an issue, or they want to get rid of it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so looking for deals on cheap blasters, broken blasters. A really good option is popular blasters. Like, if you buy a high kappa that's in good condition and you do work to it, there's always going to be someone looking to buy a high kappa. That's just how it works. So identifying what is popular, and then using that as a way to trade up, right? Mm-hmm. So you're making trades. Maybe you're selling and then buying, but you are doing this with the intention of acquiring items that you are willing to sell. That doesn't mean you can't play with them. That's what I did. And a great example, I traded up for an MP5 limited edition. did some work to the hop up and the inner barrel and all the whatever.
Charging
and then
handle.
I fixed the charging handle, and then I sold that, and that paid for my entire new HPA rig. So acquiring items with the intention of selling them later is a crucial step.
A big step. When you're doing that, something that we've learned too is to you can take these pieces, and while you're working on them to fix them, you can do small upgrades to them, right? Like every blaster we get, for the most part, we have a list of upgrades that we do to it just to make it perform a little bit better. And that's usually a inner barrel, a hop up, a better bucking, and rewiring to Deans. That's the list. Where the tight bore barrel is going to get you a little bit more accuracy at range. It's going to tighten up that grouping a little bit. Your hop up is important too, as far as putting, how much hop on the BB is, being able to fine tune that a little bit better. And then also, if depending on the bucking you get, the Navrich Immortal bucking is a very good option. Some of these flat hop buckings, it changes the way that it changes the interaction of the BB with your hop up, on many different levels.
Yeah. There's lots of scientific videos you can watch that will explain what that does. But
the whole rewiring to Deans thing also is a bit of that, like it's very similar to like frame junkies in video games, like FPSs and stuff. People are like, oh, I swapped out my CPU for the same brand but this version, and I got 5 more frames. Or like, I switched to the Corsair brand RAM, and now I'm,
It's like quality of life stuff. You're just improving the performance and experience of that thing.
Exactly.
To increase the value and also the perceived value of, this has all of the
stuff that I want to
do already.
Yeah. I mean, and then also while you're using the gear, it makes it easier for you to use.
Yeah. And getting into the whole like buying, selling, and trading stuff, right? Like, let's say you don't really know where to start. You've dabbled with this and you've traded some things, you've done some work, and now it's time, like, okay, I have to sell this thing to get the money I need for this other project. How do you make the sale? How do you go into this marketplace across all, Discord, Facebook, Hop Up, all these different places, and make the sale? So
these are the tips and tricks, people.
Yeah, this is where it comes down to really, like, now that you have a product that is worth selling, right? You do all the work to maintain it, clean it, upgrade it. Now you have to pitch that to people. And the number one thing that I always tell people is take good photos. Go to Hop Up. Every single photo is someone's bedroom, just in the background. At best, you'll get a picture of it in a case, like in a hard, blaster case. I don't think we can say the G word on YouTube.
No, not the G word. Force multiplier.
Yeah. So what does that look like? Well, it means having good lighting, having a good backdrop. I recommend if you have a wooden table or a black sheet.
Those are great options.
Perfect. Something, or even maybe a white sheet, something to contrast, right?
Well, then if you do a white sheet, people might think you're taking the picture on a spooky ghost.
Yeah, well,
and they might get scared. So be careful.
I do mine on a black sheet, and part of the challenge is, how do you show the contrast if it's a black painted blaster? And then that comes into the good lighting, right? So we have these lights that we use for the podcast, and
so good.
We set those up and we angle them, and it's just to make it look a little more appealing.
It's like an Olin Mills photo shoot in here anytime we try to sell something. If anyone knows Olin Mills.
Yeah, make sure your stuff is clean. Like, all the time when I look at people's stuff on the marketplace, it's dirty. It's scratched up.
Just got
busted.
done playing with it.
There's a huge difference between an old blaster that the paint is scratched on, but it's clean. It's like well maintained. You think about like a nice vintage weapon, it's going to be well maintained. It's going to look old. It's going to be worn, but there's that difference between dirty and worn.
Yeah.
And making sure that it doesn't look dirty.
Like,
and then
again, like an M1 Grand can have battle scars on it.
Yeah.
But
and people are still going to want it.
But the owner of that blaster still is going to be oiling it up and all that. Yeah.
So taking care of the stuff is important, and then having clear photos. And to be honest, most phones today take really good photos.
Dude,
it's rare for someone
have 4K cameras.
It's rare to find someone who has just an absolute horrible camera.
Potato.
And but most people don't realize lighting is a big part of that. The sensor in your phone isn't as good as a nice photography camera. So it may look clear when you have good lighting. So just making sure that the you don't have to be the most artistic with it, but making sure that it is a clear, crisp photo of a well-maintained, well-lit, well-displayed piece of gear, blaster, mags, whatever it is.
Yeah, and the other important thing too is to know who you're selling it to, right? The people in your area that are going to be buying this, what are they typically buying? What's the I guess the meta in your area and your field? And that's just research that you do from playing, talking to people on the field. If you're in Discords, going to the marketplace, usually most Airsoft Discord groups have a text channel in there that is just selling stuff. Yeah. So go in there, and people mostly are posting the stuff that they're selling, but every once in a while someone will go in there and say, hey, I'm looking for this thing, and you may have that thing and you can sell it to them. Alternatively, you can post your stuff into those places. So we'll get into that more.
Yeah.
But another important thing is being able to ship stuff, and especially in a timely manner. Delivering the product. How are you going to deliver the product, right? If the person's out of state, you might have to work out with them. Are you covering shipping? Am I covering shipping? That might be part of the deal. It's going to be different depending on who you're selling it to, where you're shipping it to, that kind of stuff. So be mindful of that. And also, if you meet someone face to face, it's another human.
Yeah.
Right? So just take that. It's
I've sold one blaster in person, bought a blaster in person, and traded one in person. And I've had good experiences, but it's just like having...
Usually airsofters are chill.
Yeah,
but...
and it's like, hey, man, unless you know the person, don't go meet them at their house. Meet at a Walmart parking lot or something. Use common Craigslist sense.
Right.
Yeah, but
speaking of Craigslist,
selling...
Don't sell your stuff on Craigslist.
Don't sell it on Craigslist.
There's a bunch of other good places to do that.
Selling the item, right, where you're going to put this at. You can do it locally through word of mouth at your field. When we go places, we keep extra stuff in our gear and in our cars and stuff for that. And then sometimes if I know there's going to be a lot of people, I'll bring stuff I'm wanting to get rid of to keep in the car. And just like if someone's out there talking about stuff, I'll be like, hey, you want to buy a whatever, or are you interested in looking at it?
That can be a good way of doing it. What I've found a lot of the time is that people are less likely to buy it then and there, and more likely to say, if you bring it back next week, I'll have money for you then. But Venmo also exists, so it is,
It's also a great way for you to let them play test it if you're comfortable with that. I normally do because, there's a certain level of, if you break it, you buy it in Airsoft with everything. Like, everyone is like, dude, if you let me use this, I'm going to buy you a new one if I break it. That type of stuff. So I'm not so worried about that. Usually it's just about maybe losing mags.
Yeah,
that's
and that would
concern.
Be especially with some of the younger players, just dropping them and not going back to pick them up because that happened 45 seconds ago and I've already forgotten what I ate for breakfast.
Yeah. So locally is a great option. You can do that through Discord as well if you've got local Discord servers and local Facebook groups. Hop Up is a very popular place. I haven't done much through Hop Up,
Same.
mostly just because I get a little nervous selling to random people.
It is very similar to like a Airsoft Craigslist.
Yeah,
So that's probably the closest, without going to Craigslist, is the closest you'll get.
Yeah.
So
and they do ship on there too.
Yeah.
So that you can do that.
But for me, Facebook Marketplace and eBay are basically the same as Hop Up. So if you're going to buy from one of those places, then you're probably fine to buy from Hop Up too. So
Yeah. I think what Facebook Marketplace, maybe there is a little bit more of a level of trust where it's like if you're in a Facebook group that is doing
that's
this.
true. Yeah. That's the one thing with Facebook that makes it a little bit better.
But eBay has shipping.
Yeah.
Hop Up has shipping.
eBay also has other things in place that ensure, that the person selling.
I mean,
it's
I'd love to see
real.
Hop Up get to that place. So I'm in favor of people supporting it. I myself get nervous. Admittedly, I sometimes feel uneasy about it.
That's a good point, Isaac. We need to support local Airsoft.
Well, Airsoft.
Honestly, at this point, any Airsoft is local.
Yeah, in our hearts.
In our hearts, all Airsoft is local.
So,
Novrich, he's local.
All of these things, right? The most important part of it is being. Well, I say second most important. The second most important part of it is being professional, being honorable. It goes a long way, man. And I
really
don't.
Does.
There's
not enough of that in the world, just in general.
Yeah. Don't sell something that is broken.
Well, no salute.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Don't sell something is broken. Don't try to trick someone into buying something. Like, if you've got a piece of junk, don't try to oversell it. Do the work to make stuff good, make good deals, buy good products, and maintain your stuff so that it holds value.
Have a respect for your equipment. Yeah. I mean, honestly, think about it, dude. You're going to play Airsoft. How are you going to do that if all your blasters are poopy?
Take better care of your stuff. I'm going to put it up here and over here. We have tutorials on how to clean your Airsoft replicas. You can click through to those to watch more. But I think more importantly than all of this,
just go play Airsoft.
It's important you do that.
Yeah, you should do that.
We'll wait.
Yeah.